Modern Money by L. Randall Wray. What is money, and where did it come from? We all know the traditional answers to these questions. Our homogeneous globule of desire forefathers were inconvenienced by barter until they spontaneously hit upon the idea of using tobacco, furs, huge rocks, landmarks, and wives as media of exchange. Footnote 1. The terminology comes from one of the most famous statements in the history of economic thought. Quote, "The hedonistic conception of man is that of a lightning calculator of pleasure and pains, who oscillates like a homogeneous globule of desire of happiness under the impulse of stimuli that shift for him about the area but leave him intact. Self-imposed in elemental space, he spins symmetrically about his own spiritual axis until the parallelogram of forces bears down upon him, whereupon he follows the line of the resultant. When the force of the impact is spent, he comes to rest, a self-contained globule of desire as before." End quote. Veblen, 1999. End footnote. Footnote 2. According to Paul Samuelson, inconvenient as barter obviously is, it represents a great step forward from a state of self-sufficiency in which every man had to be a jack of all trades and master of none. If we were to construct history along hypothetical, logical lines, we should naturally follow the age of barter by the age of commodity money. Historically, a great variety of commodities has served at one time or another as a medium of exchange: tobacco, leather and hides, furs, olive oil, beer or spirits, slaves or wives, huge rocks and landmarks, and cigarette butts. The age of commodity money gives way to the age of paper money. Finally, along with the age of paper money, there is the age of bank money or bank checking deposits. Samuelson, 1973. End footnote. Over time, greater efficiency was obtained as Homo economicus coined precious metals, and market efficiency was enhanced by free banks, which substituted paper money backed by precious metal reserves. Footnote 3. See, for example, Selgin and White, 1987, for an account of free banking in Never Never Land. End footnote. All would have been fine and dandy, except that evil governments came along, monopolizing the mints, creating central banks that debased the currency, and interfering with the invisible hand of the market. This finally resulted in abandonment of commodity money, substitution of a fiat money, and central bank-induced inflation. If only we could return to that Peter Pan and the Lost Boys, never never laissez-faire land, free of Captain Hook and the crocodile, central bank and government, with privately supplied free bank money greasing the mighty wheels of entrepreneurial commerce. The problem is that the Never Never Land imagined by the Paul Samuelsons and George Selgins simply never ever existed. There is no evidence of barter-based markets outside trivial prisoner-of-war cases, and all the evidence about the origins of money points to state involvement. This is not to say that there have never been private monies, nor is it my intention to claim too much of a role for government in the evolution of the financial system. However, what I will argue here is that from the beginning, government played an important role in determining what would function as unit of account, which, as Keynes argued, is what really counts. I will be brief on the historical account of the origins of money, not because this is uninteresting, but rather because it is tangential to the main concern: modern money. Even if the Samuelsonian story about the origins of money were true, which it is not, all modern states operate with a fiat money, rather than with Williamson's, quote, tobacco, furs, and wives, end quote, as money. However, some knowledge of history does provide illumination on the nature of what could be called modern or state money.